Imagine a world without locks, a world where doors swing open without resistance, where treasures lie unguarded, and privacy is nothing more than a fragile illusion. It's a strange thought, isn't it? Because for thousands of years, the lock has been more than just a mechanism. It has been a silent guardian of our homes, our secrets, and our most prized possessions. Our story begins thousands of years ago in the dusty lands of ancient Mesopotamia, where the very first locks emerged. Not sleek metal constructions, but rudimentary wooden devices. Crafted around 4000 BC, these early locks used a simple pin tumbler system, surprisingly similar to what many modern locks still use today. Picture a large wooden bolt securing a door, its mechanism filled with holes. Into these holes, wooden pins would drop, holding the bolt firmly in place. But with the right key, a hefty wooden contraption with carefully placed pegs, these pins could be lifted, allowing the bolt to slide free. Simple, yet ingenious. These early locks weren't just tools, they were symbols of status. After all, in a time when crafting such intricate devices was no easy feat, only the wealthiest could afford them. To own a lock wasn't merely about security, it was about prestige. But the journey of the lock didn't stop in Mesopotamia. It traveled, evolving with each civilization it touched. In ancient Egypt, around 2000 BC, the pin tumbler lock was refined. Egyptian artisans, known for their craftsmanship, made locks larger and sturdier, often adorning them with intricate carvings. These weren't just functional devices, they were works of art. Yet, despite their beauty, the design remained relatively simple. Large wooden keys were used to lift pins within the lock, granting or denying access. Fast forward to ancient Rome, and we see the lock undergo another transformation. The Romans, ever the engineers, refined the design, introducing metal into the equation. Bronze and iron locks became the standard, and with metal came durability. The Romans also innovated the warded lock, a design that would dominate Europe for centuries. Warded locks used obstructions, or wards, inside the lock body. Only a key with the correct notches could bypass these barriers and turn the lock. Roman ingenuity didn't stop there. They even created the world's first padlocks, small, portable locks that merchants used to secure chests and doors. These early padlocks weren't just practical, they were portable symbols of trust and protection. But history has a way of complicating things. As locks grew more sophisticated, so too did those determined to defeat them. Lock-picking became an art of its own. Ancient texts hint at tools designed specifically for bypassing locks, a cat-and-mouse game that continues to this day. The fall of the Roman Empire didn't halt the evolution of locks, but it did slow it. During the Dark Ages, much of Rome's advanced engineering knowledge was lost or forgotten. Locks became simpler once again, functional but hardly innovative. Then came the Middle Ages, a time of towering castles, stone fortresses, and heavy iron gates. Security was paramount, and so was the need for reliable locks. Blacksmiths of medieval Europe began crafting massive iron locks, some weighing several pounds. These locks weren't subtle. They were designed to intimidate, with oversized keys that often hung from a lord's belt like a badge of honor. Warded locks continued to reign supreme, their intricate internal obstructions keeping most would-be thieves at bay. But by the 18th century, the winds of change began to blow. The Industrial Revolution was on the horizon, and with it came precision engineering and mass production. Lock-making, once the domain of individual blacksmiths, became a more standardized craft. In 1778, an Englishman named Robert Barron revolutionized the lock industry with his invention of the double-acting tumbler lock. It was a leap forward in security. Barron's design required a key to lift internal levers to precise heights. both up and down, before the bolt could move. A simple skeleton key would no longer suffice. This was a lock that demanded precision, but the true golden age of locks was yet to come. In 1818, Jeremiah Chubb, another Englishman, improved upon Barron's design with his detector lock. Not only was it more secure, but it also had a built-in security feature. If someone tried and failed to pick the lock, it would jam, alerting the owner to the attempted breach. This was a lock that could tattle on would-be thieves, a brilliant innovation for its time. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, an American locksmith named Linus Yale Sr. was working on his own designs, but it was his son, Linus Yale Jr., who would leave a lasting legacy. In 1861, Yale Jr. patented the modern pin tumbler lock, drawing inspiration from the ancient Egyptian designs, but refining them for the industrial age. His lock used a flat key with serrated edges to align small pins within the cylinder, allowing the lock to turn. Compact, efficient, and incredibly secure, the Yale lock became the standard worldwide, and it remains so to this day. But locks weren't just about security, they were about innovation, identity, and even art. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, decorative locks became popular. Intricate designs, engravings, and even personalized family crests adorned household locks, turning them into symbols of pride. Yet, as locks evolved, so too did the methods to bypass them. The 20th century saw an explosion in the sophistication of both locks and lock-picking techniques. It was no longer just about metal against metal. New materials, new designs, and new vulnerabilities emerged. In the digital age, the concept of the lock has been turned on its head. Today, we see locks without keys, smart locks that respond to fingerprints, smartphone apps, and even facial recognition. Digital encryption has become the modern equivalent of the warded lock, protecting not just physical spaces, but virtual ones. Our data, our identities, our entire digital lives are now locked behind complex algorithms. Yet, despite all this advancement, the core idea remains the same. The lock is a promise of protection, a barrier between what's inside and what's out. But here's the twist. No lock is ever truly unbreakable. Every lock, no matter how complex, holds within it the potential for defeat. And it's this dance between security and vulnerability, between protection and access, that has driven the evolution of locks through the centuries. Consider the lockpickers, often portrayed as villains in movies and literature. In reality, many of them are craftsmen in their own right, pushing locks to their limits, exposing weaknesses, and, in doing so, driving innovation. In fact, some of the greatest advancements in lock technology have come directly from understanding how they can be picked. Take, for instance, the story of Alfred C. Hobbs, an American locksmith who, in 1851, traveled to London for the Great Exhibition. There he did the unthinkable. He picked the Bramah lock, considered unpickable for over 60 years, and the Chubb detector lock, all in public demonstrations. Hobbs didn't just break locks, he shattered the illusion of their invulnerability, pushing the entire industry forward. Today, the landscape of locks is vast and varied. From traditional deadbolts and padlocks to biometric scanners and digital keypads, there's a lock for every need. And with each new design comes a new challenge, a new puzzle waiting to be solved. But in the end, perhaps the true beauty of the lock lies not just in its mechanics, but in what it represents. It's a symbol of trust. When you turn a key in your front door at night, you're placing trust in centuries of craftsmanship, in a lineage that stretches back to ancient Mesopotamia. You're saying, "This is my space, my sanctuary, and it's protected." And that, more than anything, is why the story of the lock is so compelling. It's not just a tale of metal and mechanisms, it's a story about us, about our desire for safety, for privacy, for control over the spaces we call our own. It's a testament to human ingenuity and to our endless quest to build, to protect, and yes, sometimes to break through. So the next time you hear the soft click of a lock sliding into place, remember, you're part of a story that's been unfolding for over 6,000 years. A story of innovation, of conflict, and of the simple, timeless need to keep what matters safe. If you want to get basic overview of anything, provide your thoughts and intentions in comment section. We will provide and serve you, and subscribe our channel to get more information in less time.